boy, do we have a jam-packed episode for you today. Not only are we going to be doing some beautiful thrift flips, but I'm going to show you all of the party prep, the decorations, the food and the dessert buffet from Mac and Ellie's open house. Plus, we're going to be doing a giveaway because it's been a while since we've done a giveaway. And we need to celebrate the fact that all of the parties are over. Hooray. So let's jump right in and do our first thrift flip. Now, I feel like right now bows are all the rage. I've got my bow necklace and my bow earrings on today to celebrate the fact that we are going to be making a bow out of fabric. Now, a little while ago, I purchased a multi-pack of fabric at Hobby Lobby. I love it when it comes in these multi-packs because it takes all the guesswork out of coordinating fabric together. So if you have a hard time mixing and matching fabric, purchase the multi-pack. So what we're going to be doing is taking a segment of this fabric and we're going to make a bow out of it. This beautiful white fabric with pretty flowers and shades of pink and yellow and blue is stunning. I thought it was perfect for spring. I'm going to cut my fabric into 3 distinct rectangles. I'm going to do a large one for the bow and then 2 smaller rectangles for the tails. So I laid out my fabric and I'm going to cut the large rectangle in the size 12" by 8". Luckily for me, I didn't have to get out a ruler or anything like that. I just followed the creases that were already on the fabric. We are going to be creating a no-sew bow, which in my opinion is the best kind of bow. We're going to be using hot glue, but you can also use some fabric glue. I purchased this fabric glue at Hobby Lobby. And if you're a sewer, you can follow along and just sew where we're going to glue. So you've got a couple of great, easy options to create a bow. I flipped my fabric over, and then I got my hot glue and added hot glue to the fabric. I folded each side towards the center, so I had a 1" seam. I added hot glue to the opposite side and folded the fabric in once again, creating a 1" seam. The top and the bottom seams are not going to be quite as large as the side seams, so I added hot glue to the top and I'm folding the fabric in about a 1/2 inch this time. I pressed the fabric into the glue. Once the top side had been glued down, I moved on to the opposite side. I added hot glue to the fabric and then folded it a 1/2 inch towards the center, again creating a seam. We're doing these steps because we want clean edges. Folding each side of the rectangle towards the center will give us those clean lines. Now that our large rectangle is done, let's move on and do the tails. I'm going to be cutting out a 6 by 12" segment. Once I had my first long rectangle cut out, I placed it on top of the fabric and cut around it. This is an easy way to create a template. That way we know I'm going to get 2 rectangles that are the exact same size. Now I'm going to take my fabric, I'm going to flip it over so that the unfinished side is facing up, and then I'm going to fold it in on itself. I'm going to take my long rectangle, fold it in half, get a pair of fabric scissors, and cut the fabric on an angle at the bottom. Once I was finished with the first long rectangular tail, I did the exact same thing with my second. I folded the fabric in half, took my scissors, and cut a diagonal line the opposite way from the first rectangle. I added hot glue all along the edge of the fabric and then pressed it together. Make sure that there are no openings in the sides. You want everything to be sufficiently glued together. Once I was finished with my first rectangular tail, I moved on and did the exact same thing on the second one. I took a line of hot glue and ran it along the edge and pressed the fabric together. The reason why the unfinished side is facing outward is because we are now going to flip it inside out. And because we're doing this, the seam is going to be inside. We don't want to see that seam. So I just inverted the fabric. So now the decorative side is facing outward and the unfinished side is inside. Once I finished flipping around the first rectangle, I moved on and did the exact same thing with the second one. Can you see how great this is? Our seams are now inside and the beautiful decorative fabric is outside and looks like it's been sewn together beautifully. We did leave the tops and the bottoms of these tails open, so now we need to seal them shut. So all I did was just take some more of that hot glue and I added hot glue inside of the fabric and then pressed the edges together. I glued together the bottom and then moved up to the top and glued the top edges together as well. Then I repeated this process on the second rectangle tail. Now that everything's glued together, I needed to iron it because you don't want to see any of those folds that were originally on there. You guys don't want to watch me iron, that's super boring, but just know that I did iron all these pieces out so that they are nice and smooth and flat. So now it's time to take our 3 pieces and create a bow. So what I'm going to do first of all is get those tails. At the top of the tails, I'm going to bunch it together. I made about 4 folds in the center and then hot glued the folds together so they would stay bunched up. I did this with both of my tails. I just cinched together the top and hot glued them together. Then I took the large rectangle and I cinched that together as well. I made about 4 folds and then I hot glued it together so that it was nice and bunched up tight in the center. So now it's time to assemble our bow. I'm going to take the tails and add hot glue to the top. Then I'll take my large bow and press that into the hot glue. And now we've created this stunning fabric bow. We could be finished right here, but what fun is that? So we're gonna add some embellishment to the center of the bow. Not only is it going to be pretty, but it's going to hide all of the hot glue, and everywhere that's cinched, it'll just finish it off. So what I'm gonna use is this beautiful pearl wrap that I purchased at the Dollar Tree. This pearl wrap is going to be a fabulous addition to the center for a couple of different reasons. 1, because of the color contrast, and 2, we have a lot of soft fabric, so adding something that's hard is a great textural contrast, and it's going to add some shimmer and shine to the bow as well. So what I'm going to do is just take this pearl wrap and hot glue it to the center of the bow, wrap it around to the back, cut it, and then hot glue it all together. So not only is this pearl wrap going to hold the fabric bow together, but it's going to add a beautiful decorative detail. And now we're done with our beautiful fabric bow. This was so easy to make. I think that using the fabric was such a beautiful choice. The color of the blues and the pinks and the yellows and the different shades of green is just a beautiful color combination for this time of year. And you can get so creative making your own bow. Just rummage through your leftover scrap fabric. You don't need that much. And then also, if there's some beautiful fabric that's really expensive, you can use that fabric in a project like this because you only need about 1/4 yard of fabric to create this bow. So you can splurge a little bit on buying some expensive fabric. Our bow is bright and cheerful, but still has a classy feel to it. And the gold pearl wrap in the center adds beautiful sparkle and shine as well as color contrast. So when our guests enter, they're gonna come straight through the door and the first thing they're gonna see is our balloon arch. Do you remember we used this for the baby shower? Well, I just swapped out the blue balloons and I put some white balloons with some pretty pink ribbons, which is a perfect transition. And then on our table here, I have some beautiful linens and we've got our sign-in book. Do you remember years ago, we did a dupe, and this was actually a wedding box to do a decorative box. And I have had so many of you over the years say, what's the slip for? Well, you guys, today's the day. We are gonna use it so people can put their cards right in here. And then of course, we've got a beautiful photo of our bride and groom. And to the opposite side, we've got a beautiful floral arrangement, which is gonna tie in our pink and white color scheme. And then I've got a sign over here so people know where to put their gifts. But this is a beautiful way to welcome everybody into our party today. We are so excited. In the dining room, we are doing strictly desserts. I don't have everything out right now because we're still waiting for people to come out. I don't put things out too early because then they won't stay nice and cold. But we're gonna have some eclairs. We're gonna have some pumpkin bread. We've got brownies. We are using our cute little donut stand. So we've got powdered ones here, chocolate ones here. I've got a couple of jars full of Hershey Kisses, peanut butter cups. I've got Rice Krispie treats, more brownies, pirouette cookies, and then we also have a few more desserts coming. Mac's family, who is Greek, is going to bring some baklava and some Greek wedding cookies. So all of that is going to be displayed here in the dining room. This is the best part of any party, and it is definitely the food. So we have the desserts in the other room, but in here we have all of the savory food. So we are going to start off with some fruit. We've got a whole bunch, different varieties. We've got watermelon, cantaloupe, pineapple, strawberries, grapes, all kinds of things. We've got some chicken salad pinwheels. Now the reason why I'm doing pinwheels is because I don't know how many people are coming, and to do chicken salad croissant sandwiches for maybe 150 people would have been way too much. So pinwheels are not only easier, but they are much more cost efficient. And then over here we've got a variety of cheeses and meats so people can make their own little charcuterie board. I've got a bunch of crackers, and then we've got some brie with some fig jam and more fruit. We also have some spanakopita that Mac's family is gonna bring, along with a whole bunch of other things that we're gonna put out on this buffet. I also love these tall vases. I filled them with water, and I've got a floating candle inside. I think it's such a beautiful, romantic look. We're gonna have a whole bunch of candles throughout this space, so having candles on the buffet is such a great way to tie all those candles together. And tonight we are just going with water. So we've got a little water station back here. This is gonna give me peace of mind, because if things get spilled, I am not gonna worry about everything being sticky all over the ground. The table settings that we are doing for this party are going to start off with a white tablecloth, and then I have these gorgeous satin champagne colored runners. They are so pretty and very elegant. And then on every single table, we have a flower arrangement. We've got some ginger jars, and we also have some of these tall taper candles in some gold candlesticks. And then on every table, we've got some pictures of the bride and the groom. Each table has a different photo, and it's just such a fun way to get to know our bride and groom a little bit more. So we've got a table over here, we've got 3 tables here, and we actually have more tables outside, so people can be inside, they can be outside, they can mix and mingle, come and go, but I really love the way that these centerpieces turned out. Our bow is finished, and you may be thinking, I thought this was a thrift flip video, and it is. We are going to actually add our bow to our thrifted item, which I'm going to show you right now. I purchased this grapevine wreath at my thrift store. She is not a looker, you guys. She's dusty and dirty and lopsided and misshapen, but it's a great blank slate. It's the perfect size, and it's a great price. It was only $3.99. So what do we have to lose trying to beautify this wreath? So the first thing we're gonna do is take a whole bunch of Dollar Tree flowers. I've got some dahlias and some hydrangeas and some peonies. The pink vibrant color of these flowers is going to coordinate with the pink flowers on our fabric bow. To go along with our pretty pink flowers, we need some greenery. I've got a segment of this sage greenery that's left over from another project. It's perfect for spring because it reminds me of a carrot top, but it's not a vibrant green. This neutral shade of green is not going to overwhelm the wreath. I'm going to place my wreath down first, and then I'm going to get my greenery and I'm going to lay that over the top. And then we're going to be using one of my favorite tricks of the trade, and that is our fishing line to attach the greenery to the wreath. So I took a segment of the fishing line, wrapped it around the greenery and the wreath, and then tied it into a knot. What I love about the fishing line is that it's transparent, so you don't know how the greenery is attached to the wreath. It's very difficult to detect. Another reason why I like using fishing line is because it's not doing any permanent damage to the greenery. Hot glue may melt some of the greenery and it may not hold it in place as well, so the fishing line is a fabulous alternative, and check out how secure this greenery is to my wreath. It is not going anywhere. Next, we're gonna move on to our pink Dollar Tree flowers. What I did was I just cut these stems away from the bunch individually so I can take the flowers and poke them into the grapevine wreath. They stayed in place so well because of how tight the grapevine wreath is. Poking the stems through the wreath alone will hold these flowers in place. And if some of them were too long, all I did was I just bent the stem underneath the wreath and just kind of wrapped it around one of those little grapevine stems. I added all the flowers to the wreath by poking the stems into the grapevine branches. I'm leaving a gap at the bottom because that's exactly where we're going to put our beautiful fabric bow. So I took my fabric bow and some more of that fishing line. I wrapped the fishing line around the bow and to the back of the wreath and then tied it into a knot. And that's it, you guys. Look at our beautiful wreath. I am absolutely in love with this. It is so cheerful and vibrant and bright, and it just makes you so excited for springtime. The pink flowers are stunning. I love how there's a variety of different shades of pink. The cute little leaves just meander around the wreath and add so much detail. And then you guys, we've got to talk about this bow. How cute is this bow that we made out of fabric? It is absolutely adorable. It's definitely the focal point and is a showstopper. It looks like it was sewn, which of course it can be if you've got the sewing skills. If you're pressed for time and you don't have a sewing machine, you can definitely use the hot glue like I did, or the fabric glue will work just as great. We were able to flip this grapevine wreath that started out pretty sad into something that is so beautiful. And we were able to do it very affordably. And again, the best part is wreaths like these can be customized so easily to any season or party or color scheme. You could change the flowers out to anything you like. You could definitely customize the bow into any kind of fabric that would fit into your specific design style. I love the way that mine turned out. It's definitely one of a kind. Table set, the candles are lit. Everything looks so pretty. I love the way that all the centerpieces turned out, and we're just ready for people to come. In fact, we got a whole bunch here, so we'll let them start eating and sit down. The last of the guests have just left.
Survived.
We survived. We made it through the bridal shower, the wedding reception, and now the open house. So pat yourself on the back, Ken. Good job.
You too.
Yeah, and yeah, it was a great party, and we're grateful for all of our friends and family, and congratulations again to Mac and Ellie.
Amen.
Our next thrifted item is actually in pretty good shape. I've gotten some pretty busted up broken pieces in my day, but this shadow box is in fabulous condition. There are a couple of scratches at the top, but I can overlook that because of the gold frame, and the size is just fantastic. The fabric was in pretty good shape. It did look like there was some glue or residue on the fabric on the backing, but I was able to peel that off, so it was no big deal. And the price of this was $9.99, which is a little more expensive than I typically pay at the thrift store. In fact, you could probably go to like Michael's or Hobby Lobby and find a shadow box that's similar for a similar price. So if you can't find a shadow box at your thrift store, these stores are great options, and I bet you'd be able to find it at a comparable cost. So what we're going to do with this shadow box is add some beautiful 3D items inside. First off, we need to create a map that's going to go around an art print that we're going to put inside in just a little bit. Now, a couple of months ago, I purchased this book of scrapbook paper at Michael's. It's a book of fall scrapbook paper that I purchased in an after Christmas sale, and I've already used some of it in some previous projects. Well, I loved this gold and white swirled scrapbook paper that was inside. It is so pretty. This is going to be a beautiful addition to our shadow box. So what I'm gonna do is get my self-healing mat out and a rotary cutter, a ruler, and a pencil. I traced out the size that I needed and then took my rotary cutter and cut it to size. Now we need to remove the center. So I took my art print, I placed it over the center of our scrapbook paper, traced around it, and then got an X-Acto knife and a ruler and cut along all four sides. This way I can easily pull out the center. The reason I'm using an X-Acto knife is because scissors would be really hard to get a clean edge without bending the paper, and the rotary cutter would be tricky to use. The X-Acto knife is just right. It is giveaway time. It's high time that we did a giveaway. It's been a while since we did one. I think the last one was around Christmas time, and we are celebrating the fact that all of the wedding festivities and parties are over. So we might as well celebrate by giving two of you any print in any size from my website. The print that I'm using today is obviously from my website, and it is this gorgeous woman sitting under a blossoming tree in a European countryside. The vibrant colors are fresh and so fitting for this spring season. All you need to do is leave me a comment with the word art in it, and you will be automatically entered to win. I will draw the winners next Friday and post on my community post and my Instagram stories the winners. So make sure that you leave me a comment with the word art in it so you will be entered to win. In the meantime, go over to my website, browse around, and pick the one that you would choose if you were the winner. I love doing giveaways because it's just a small way of me giving back to you guys. I appreciate all the support and all of the kind comments and the views, and I just really appreciate all of you so very much. Okay, well, what we're gonna do is take our art print and we're going to put that in the center of the fabric backing. I'm gonna get a little teeny piece of Scotch tape and put it at the top just to hold it in place. And then I'm going to take my scrapbook paper mat, place that over the art print, and add a little bit of hot glue in a few different areas around the scrapbook paper so that the mat stays in place. Because this is a shadow box, we want to add some 3D items to the top corner. The first is going to be a segment of this beautiful gold lace. Do you remember this lace? We used it in the fall time. I added it to some pumpkins right around the stem. This lace is from Hobby Lobby. I have a few pieces left over, so we're going to hot glue one segment of this lace to the top, and then I'm going to hot glue the other piece of gold lace facing downward. If you like videos like these and want to see more like it, then you've come to the right spot. I post weekly videos on all things related to the home. We do DIYs, interior design, home decor, you name it, we do it here on this channel. So make sure you're subscribed so I can share all of these home decor projects with you. I thought it would be fitting to add some beautiful flowers to our shadow box that coordinated with our art print. I have a stem of roses. There's one large rose and a rose bud, and also some leaves. I am going to pull the roses and the leaves away from the stem because we just want the tops. I'm going to take my leaves first, cut the plastic part off that connects the leaves to the stem. Then I'm going to hot glue the leaves individually to the shadow box. Next, I'm going to take my roses, cut the plastic part off that connects the roses to the stem, Those little plastic stems are just gonna get in the way, and it will raise our flowers up too tall, so it'll hit the glass. So we don't need that. That's why we're cutting those little plastic parts off. Then I hot glued the large rose and the rosebud to the center of the leaves. I needed one more 3D element to go inside, and I have this beautiful leaf trim. This is once again from Hobby Lobby. It's got veining on the leaves, and it's going to add so much detail to our shadow box. So I'm going to take a segment of this leaf trim and then hot glue it in between the rosebuds. I added a couple more leaf segments to the center and then down the sides. Now all we need to do is replace the backing onto the shadow box frame. And check out our shadow box 3D art. How fun is this shadow box? It's so much more unique than a simple frame. First of all, let's talk about the stunning art print in the center of the shadow box. This is so beautiful. It's a perfect print for spring. The scrapbook paper mat around the print is a great color contrast, but it also adds a design to our plain shadow box frame. The flowers, the greenery, and the leaf trim just coordinate so nicely with our botanical print. All of the gold coordinates together so nicely as well. We've got our gold frame, we've got the gold mat, and then we've got the gold lace pieces up at the top. The lace pieces just add elegance to the shadow box. All of the 3D elements really bring this shadow box to life. This is a great transformation. We were able to take a plain shadow box and really theme it into this time of year. Again, if you cannot find a shadow box at your thrift store, it's not going to be that much more expensive just to go to one of your local stores and buy a shadow box frame there. And once again, this is another one of those items that you can completely customize to your own taste and style. You could put in whatever print you want and add any 3D items. Now it's time to take a big sigh of relief. Ellie and Mac are married, hooray. The bridal shower's over. The wedding is over, the reception's over, traveling's done. The baby shower is over that we did 2 weeks ago. The race is over, and now the open house is over. I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself right now. Actually, I do. I think I'm gonna go take a nap. But after my nap's over, don't worry, we're still going to be doing some fabulous DIYs and interior design and seasonal decorating. So make sure that you're subscribed so you can just join in on all of the decorating fun. Well, I hope you got some inspiration or some ideas today that jumpstart your creativity. You can live beautifully in so many different ways, and hopefully these projects gave you some ideas. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. Leave me a comment with the word art in it and you will be automatically entered to win. Well, I appreciate all of you for stopping by. Thank you so much for watching.